The New Zealand Wars were a series of conflicts fought between 1845 and 1872 involving the Crown and Māori, and on the Crown side for most of that period they were fought by the British Army through until 1865. Each of the conflicts is unique in a way, and there are particular factors behind them, but there are some overarching themes that all of the conflicts share in common. And one of them is this tension between two competing visions of what the treaty was about. And on the one hand, you have Māori expectations of mutual prosperity and a partnership of benefit to both parties. On the other hand, the Crown has this assumption of unbridled sovereignty, unbridled authority over the country, which doesn't match the reality because the treaty signing in 1840 doesn't change much on the ground. Most Māori communities continue to govern their own affairs, and so there is this competition, this clash between what the treaty is about, really between the Article 1 of the English translation, which the Crown claims sovereignty under, and Article 2 of the Māori text, whereby Māori assume the right to continue to exercise their tino rangatiratanga. There are all sorts of other factors as well. Obviously, the contest for land is a critical component of that. So sovereignty and land are two really critical issues behind the wars. Most historians would mark the start of the wars in Northland in March 1845 when the township of Kororaraka was sacked. There is a case to say that the Wairoa Fray in 1843 might be an earlier example of the first outbreak of conflict. And so you have conflict in the Northern War, 1845 to 46. Then you have conflicts in the Cook Strait region in Wellington and Whanganui in 1846 and 47. And then through the 1850s there's a long period of peace before war breaks out in Taranaki in March 1860. That's really marks a period of a 12-year-long series of conflicts that rage throughout the North Island. And these are fought between Crown forces that include British troops for most of this period, also colonial allies, and some Māori tribes or members of tribes who align themselves with the Crown for their own reasons. And on the other hand, various Māori communities who are engaging in these conflicts with the Crown. So there are a number of different parties involved. So the war kind of peters out in 1872 when the Crown finally decides to call off its pursuit of Te Kooti because he's taken refuge in the King Country, which is outside the Crown's area of control. So the wars don't end because the Crown has entirely achieved its objectives. It hasn't, because you have this quasi-autonomous district called the King Country, or the Rohe Potai district. But the Crown has achieved enough in order to assert its authority over most of the country, and that has kind of profound consequences over the decades that follow as well.